to get the sponsors. Tell Michael you want to start. Start in 2 minutes. Just after, yeah.
After?
Yeah, please. We need to make money, not win raffles here. Okay. Ready? Okay. Good? Okay, let's start. Okay, I want to announce, welcome to the Lighthouse. I want to announce today's sponsors. Today's first sponsor is Princess Feldman, in memory of her mother-in-law, Chava Bat Shoshana, Elza Lahizarzi, in the merit of her father, Isaac Ben Meir, Anonymous, in the honor of Leah Bat Eda, Yitzhak Ben Eda, Shalom Ben Eda, Aaron Ben Eda, Simcha Ben Eda, for good health, success, and everything. Anonymous, in the Refuah Shalema Yerachmiel, Eliyahu Ben Esther, Riva. Also, Yana Mushayev, in the memory of Yachiel Ben Rosa. Arthur Lax, in the memory of David Tzvi Ben Yitzhak HaKohen Zal. Aliza Liran, for Metizyahu Ben Aliza to go on the path of the Torah. Nathan Menachem Ben Or Namalka for stronger Emunah in Torah. Aliza Ben Zaha for good health, success, and business. Anonymous for Shlomo Ben Yosef Esther, and all those to have success. And also Diana Tarachuk for the Refuah Shlomo Meir Ben Rivka Ben Benjamin Eliezer Ben Pasha, and Refuah Shlomo Menachem Mendel with Sarah Baja, the Rafega by Moshe Ben Rezel. Thank you so much for all the sponsors. Very generous of everybody. Okay, we got a big class today on Parnasa 101. Parnasa 101. Today's a huge day. Today was the day that the man came down. So today's an amazing day to talk about the man. You know, it's amazing how everybody in life, they want to look anywhere else where to make money, but they don't look in the Torah. They're looking everywhere else. They're going to this conference, they're going to that conference. Look in the Torah. The Torah is giving you black and white how to make money. It's going to be black and white to you. And if you realize unfortunately, when we don't look in the Torah, that's when we ask a lot of questions. And unfortunately, when we ask a lot of questions, then unfortunately, God forbid, we fall into depression. Okay, we ready? Okay. So let's start very, very clearly. Very clearly. You have to understand this about money. You have to understand. This is like the number one lesson. If you understand this one lesson about money, it can give you a lot of dot. It says, God said to Moshe, "Behold, I am raining down from you bread from heaven, and let the people go out and gather each day so I can test them." Money is a test. If you don't understand that first line, you're going to ask a lot of questions, because a lot of things are going to happen in your life that doesn't make any sense. And you're going to say, what is Hashem doing this for me? Why is Hashem doing this? Why is He taking away this from me? Why is He putting me in this business? Bottom line, it's a test. Why do we have to be tested? Because that's the differentiation between people who win and people who don't win. There has to be a test. If there's no test, how do you prove that a person has emunah? So the first thing, Parsha Zaman, so I can test them. Test means a lot of things. Test means you're going to get tested with anger. You're going to get tested with all kinds of craziest things. I could write books about all my tests that I went through. And at the end of the test, the ones that I was managed to make were the ones that I hung in there. The ones that I lost were the ones that I got angry and I threw in the towel. So this is very important in your life. You'll see that money is a test. Why? Because God wants to see if you're in or not. That's what it is. I have to understand that. What else can we learn about this? Because the source of livelihood comes from a very lofty place, a person is tested in many ways to see if he will conduct his business and use his earnings in a proper manner. Why? Also he's saying here, the manna also teaches us that each day has its own blessing. Depressed people don't believe in tomorrow. They don't believe. There's no hope. Business sucks. Business is dead. I got out of that business. I have no mazal. What happens is, unfortunately, when you speak negativity, when you speak something that you're not supposed to, all of a sudden, what happens? The Yetzer Hara comes in. Amalek comes in. Your doubt can only come into you once a person gives it an opening. If you don't give it an opening, it can't come in there. But once we're so careful about what a person speaks, because once you say negative things, unfortunately, that allows Amalek, and all of a sudden, that can create reality. People are not fantasizing, catastrophizing of the worst things in their life when they're happy. They're doing it when they have questions. So that's what we have to understand. Money's a test, and every single day has its own blessing. That means you should have tremendous energy every single day if you look at it that way. Because why would I get depressed if I believe tomorrow's a brand new day and tomorrow's a brand new blessing? I would only get depressed when I don't believe in tomorrow. And that's against the whole creation of the world. If you have that mentality, that's against the whole creation of the world. That's why there's so much judgment for people that are depressed. You figure, why should there be so much judgment for people that are depressed? It's not fair. Poor guy, help him. Because he doesn't believe in the creation of the world. That's what the man's telling us every day. Every single day has this new blessing. That means if a person is smart, that should give him that energy. He should revitalize himself and to say, you know what, just because yesterday was that doesn't mean today's going to be that way. Every day I managed to get myself in a peak state to say every single day in Hisbodedut, part of my 5 minutes of Hisbodedut, is I say today is a brand new day. Whatever happened yesterday has nothing to do with today. And what happens, you can get that business deal that comes to you at 2 or 3 o'clock, and that could be the rest of your life. You could be in that business. But if a person's, God forbid, depressed, he doesn't get that opportunity because he's going to be in a bad mood. He's never going to take advantage of the deal. And he's going to say, I have no opportunities. It's very simple. I gave that example this week. It's like if you tell a guy, you're cutting down that tree, the knife is dull. Every time you're cutting the tree, the saw is dull. Why don't you sharpen it? Take 20 minutes. Instead of cutting it like this, it's very difficult. Why don't you sharpen it for 20 minutes? What does the guy tell you? I don't have time. I don't have time to sharpen. That's what happens. When you say you don't have time to work on yourself, and you don't have time to get that, then all day long you're sharpening and nothing's coming, and life becomes very difficult. And then you ask Hashem, why did you give me such a tree? Why did you give me this tree? Why did you make my life so difficult? So again, suffering is only because of a lack of dat. Very important. The more you sharpen your mind in anything, that's the key. To sharpen your knife. The more a person sharpens his knife, the more dat he has, and the more he's able to deal with life. And it has a different mind frame. Because at the end of the day, it's all a mind frame. So that's what Rav Nachman is telling us here. What does it also say here? That whoever wants to accept the Torah for himself, he says today is a brand new day. Today has nothing to do with tomorrow. I opened up my drug rehab business from an email one day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Maybe I would have been pissed off that day. And guess what? I would say, forget this email. Do you understand? People, you're getting offers, you're getting deals, you're getting opportunities all day long. But if you're in a bad mood, what are you going to do? Leave me alone. And you're not going to take advantage of that opportunity. That's what we have to understand. We have to be able to manage our states. We can't just rummage all day long and God forbid, be depressed, because unfortunately we lose everything. We could lose everything. So that's the idea of the man. Rav Nachman says here in lesson 56, something very beautiful. It's so common sense. Most of these stories that I talk about, it's common sense. It's common sense. The man also teaches us here. Now, the greater the dot, what does dot mean? Dot means knowledge. Dot means consciousness. Dot means a person's awareness. The more dot a person has, the easier it is for him to earn a living. That means earning a living is based on a person's dot. The more dot you have, the more a person is able to earn. How do we know this? This is because effortless livelihood is dependent on a person's dot. As it is written, when the people strolled around, God said that the man's only going to come down Sunday through Friday, and Shabbat there's going to be a double portion. Shabbat man's not coming down. But what did the people do? They didn't believe it. So what did they do? They went looking for the man. The man was not there. It's not there. Or what did the people try to do? They tried people with no emunah. What do? They hoard wealth. So what happens? It spoils. The people who tried to have the double portion for man, what happened to them? The next day it's spoiled. Because God wants a relationship. He doesn't want Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur once a year. That's an event. You're going to an event. You're not going to a relationship. That's an event. Monday, you get 2 days a year, you visit God. You're going to an event. That's not a relationship. The point here is for Parnasa, it's not meant to be given to you on a Costco 60-day supply. It's meant for you to look up every single day and pray for that sustenance. The Arizal says it very simple. Whatever a person receives in this world without praying for it, it can be detrimental for him. It could go against him. It cannot be good for him. Why? Because God wants you to be accustomed to praying. Bottom line, you have a need, what do? You turn up to pray. Simplicity. Anything you get that it didn't come through prayer, it can go away from you, God forbid. Because otherwise, if a person gets everything easy, what happens? He has arrogance. He says, what do I need to pray? I get everything easy. It's against the whole system. So the system is made for you to look up every single day and revive yourself every single day and sharpen your saw every single day so you can look at every single day brand new. And that's the key. When a person has this attitude, he's not depressed, he's not anxious, he doesn't have anxiety of the future, because at the end of the day, how much peace can you have if you're not present? How much peace can you have? If you're so anxious about the future or depressed about the past, how much anxious? That's what we said. A person cannot have gratitude unless he is present, bottom line. And gratitude is what brings you money. We spoke about the missing towel syndrome a couple of weeks ago. What happens usually? When whatever a person's missing in his life, what happens? He's going to see that same thing he's missing all over the place. If the wife can't get pregnant, she's going to see strollers all over the place. If the husband has no hair, everybody's got hair today. Whatever you're lacking in your life, what happens? That's what you're going to see on other people. So we have to be careful, because the Yetzer Hara wants us to say, you know what, look, it doesn't work. I tried, it doesn't work. Look, everybody else has. But that's the problem. When a person, God forbid, he has envy, and he looks at other people, Rav Nachman says in lesson 68 to 69, he says it's a form of stealing. It's a form of stealing. That means when a person looks at other people's belongings, it's like he's stealing. It's in the Ten Commandments. So we don't realize sometimes, oh my God, why am I focusing on this guy? This guy has a separate blessing than I do. But what happens is we ask questions. How come he has and I don't have? Most people that are running out of money, that's the first thing they question. I don't believe it. This guy has, that guy has. So what is this guy doing? All day long, this guy has. I said, that's the reason why you have a problem. Because all day long, you're focusing on other people's money. So what happens? It's just like you have a kid in your house that he says, look, Daddy, my friend has this toy, that friend has this toy. What do you tell the kid? Be happy with what you have. Why are you looking at all your friends' toys? Be happy with what you have. So what Nachman says here is that, unfortunately, if we do that, if we're not careful, if we're not mindful of that, it's considered stealing. It's considered stealing because you know what? You coveted it with your eyes. So gratitude is so important, because gratitude, if a person has gratitude, he's happy with what is happening. When a person has envy, what is he saying? You didn't give me enough, so I have to look at somebody else's money. You see, these are the little things in life. These are the little things that we need to tweak. People think it's a big thing. No, tweak little things. Because at the end of the day, what God's going to bless you because you're envious of other people? So that's something we have. We have to get rid of this missing towel syndrome. You have to stop looking at what's missing in your life and focusing on what you have in your life. And once you have that mind frame, then you attract gratitude. Gratitude attracts opportunities. It's a very simple. It's scientifically proven that people who have gratitude journals, that they spend 20 minutes a day writing down all the things they have and all the things they're happier, they're 25% happier than people who don't. Scientifically proven. You can't even go against science. This is science. Forget Rabbi Nachman. Forget being a human being. I'm just telling you scientifically. Because what are you doing when you're wasting those 25 minutes? Guess what? You're not focusing on what you don't have. And somehow you attract what you need to attract. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful at what states we fall in. Another lesson about the man was something very beautiful. The man represents, if you take the word, the Jew says, mahu. What is this? What is this white seed that's coming down? What is this white seed? Mahu is the same gematria as Emunah. It's the same thing. Mahu is the same letters as Emunah. So a person with Emunah is able to look at every single day brand new, is able to revive himself, is able to make himself like a brand new person. He gets that blessing. Person with no Emunah, all he focuses on yesterday or tomorrow. This is called anxiety. Why are we so careful? Why do I talk so much about anxiety and depression? Why do I talk? Why do I hammer people about it? Why do I do it so much? Very simple. Very simple. Look what he says here. The Sefer Divrei Yisrael writes that anxiety and depression block the pipelines that bring blessing to a person. We don't have a parnasa problem nowadays. We have a customs problem. That means there's a lot of blessing out there, but it's stuck in customs. Stuck in customs. Stuck in customs because of Emunah, and it's stuck in customs because of the Brit. It's there. It's just somebody's got to claim it. It's stuck in customs. That's exactly what's going on here. What happens if you look at the pipeline of Shefa and Kabbalistic literature, the last two things that in order for blessing to come down through a pipe, it has to pass through two things. Is what? The Brit and Emunah. Those are the two things. Those are the customs. If it doesn't pass through here, it goes to customs. Now you got to go claim it. Now what happens if nobody claims? It goes to other people. That's why you see so much money nowadays in the craziest people have all this money, and it doesn't make any sense. This guy's struggling, has 5 kids, can't even feed his family, but he's depressed all day, he's complaining, he's telling Hashem how all he doesn't have. So what happens, instead of us getting that blessing, it goes to the other side. It goes to this guy, it goes to that guy. So right now the pipes are completely crossed over. The only way to bring it back is through charity. That's why the Gemara says, if a person is running out of money, what should he do? He should give charity. Why? Because you're running out of money because your pipes are blocked. That's why you're running out of money. Because your anxiety and depression, you're not present. If you're not present, you don't have gratitude. That's causing the blockage. And the blockage is what's causing it. So what do you need to do? You need to unblock it. Shouldn't the Gemara say, if a guy's running out of money, go open up another business, go move to a new state, go try something new? No, it's telling you, do exactly what you're not doing. Coveting. Give money. It's telling you do the opposite. Whatever you're thinking in your head, do the complete opposite. Now, it's very hard when you tell a guy, you know what? I had the worst month of my life. Go give charity. He's going to tell you, are you crazy? How can you give charity? Are you nuts? How can this? I'm going to give charity now? Yes, because you don't understand. The reason why you're suffering is because of this reason. And unfortunately, if we don't get the dots, if we don't understand the Torah, what happens? We're cutting the tree down. We don't understand life, and we suffer. And that's why the Torah is the only way a person has. You can go to all the conferences you want. You can go to the Landmark Conference. You can go to that conference. You can go to all the conferences you want. But you need the fundamentals of the Torah. You need the fundamentals of Emunah. You can have all the conferences, but if you're an ungrateful person, and what happens when an ungrateful person prays? What does he pray? He prays with a complaint. Prays with a complaint. Why me? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you causing me to go beg for other people? Why? Because you did it to yourself. So not only does the prayer not get answered, but it goes against you. They open up your books more. Oh, you're not happy with that? Let me just take away some other things. Remember, guys, I've learned these lessons. These lessons cost me 7 figures. These were very expensive lessons for me. The minute I stopped complaining, my life changed. Very simple. These lessons are not cheap. This is not a cheap lesson. This is fundamental gratitude. That if you don't have fundamental gratitude, you don't have anything. You don't have anything. I don't care what you're wearing. I don't care who you're dating. I don't care what you're doing. If you don't have fundamental gratitude, your pipes are going to be blocked. Your pipes are going to be blocked. And that's what causes what happens? Envy. Why would you envy somebody if you should be happy with what you have? What happens? Because at the end of the day, we all know that one machloket, one fight, chases away 100 parnassas. So people usually fight when we're not in the greatest mood. They fight when they're irritable. This is not working for me. That's not working for me. That's not working. So they start screaming. And what does anger do? You lose more money. You lose more money. If you want a good business partner, go to anger management. If you want a way to lose money, go to anger management. So these are the states that we fall into when we get sloppy, when we don't have gratitude attacks, when we just get lazy and we start rummaging and we start catastrophizing, and all of a sudden you come home, this guy pisses you off, you're screaming at him. Parnassa is not, it's very simple. Unclog the blockages. The chef is coming down all the time, the sun's coming down all the time, but if you're in the shade, what are you going to do? Get out of the shade. Why are you in the shade all the time? Get some sun. Look what he says here, the Mesilat Yesharim. These books, remember, these books are from the 1800s. Mesilat Yesharim, I believe, was from the 1600s. He says, conversely, the thing that detracts a person from having chassidut, having any kind of contemplation of where he is in life, what happens? He's saying, are worries regarding financial worldly matters. For when the mind is preoccupied and agitated by worries and pursuits, it is impossible for him to focus his attention on getting any kind of contemplation. We need contemplation. You need to think about, is this the right business for me? But if you're always worried, you don't get the contemplation, you don't get the brain to figure out what you need to do. And what happens? Guess what happens? The Shekhinah does not rest on a person while he's in a state of distress. The Shekhinah does not, it means God does not rest on you if you're in a state of distress. Bottom line. So what do we have to do? So if we're in a state of distress, or any kind of other state that's not meant for contemplation, that means because if a person is distressed, he cannot devolve his mind and his heart for the love of God. He can't put his heart into it. His head is here, his heart is here, he goes to synagogue, he doesn't even know who's praying, he's in Tokyo, the Chazan's here, he's got no life to him, he's got no energy to pray, he's bummed out. So what happens? Hashem completely removes himself from the person. What are you talking about? The guy's wearing a kippah. What are you talking about? The guy's wearing... Yeah, that's what happens. Reb Nachman says, you have to force yourself to be happy. You have to fight it, he says. You have to fight it.
Fake it until you make it.
You have to do what you have to do. Because the Shekhinah does not. And what happens, and what's going on today? Today, people are making the worst decisions of their life when they're depressed or when they're in bad states. So that's why this is so important, because you're not getting the right decision to make. So once people ask me, what do you think I should do? I said, with that voice, you should do nothing. Change your state. Get yourself in a better mood. Go do something. Because you can't make a decision in that state. You're not getting the signal from Hashem. You're not getting the right signal. If you're not getting the right signal, don't make that decision. Common sense. The decision you're making now, it's not the best decision. You only make decisions when you're happy, because that's when a person has contemplation. That's when he knows he's getting a signal from Hashem. It's very simple. Either you have a Wi-Fi alert, or you don't have Wi-Fi. If you're depressed, you have no Wi-Fi. If you're happy, you have Wi-Fi. You can connect. I'm going to give it to you in a very, very practical example. It's not so hard. So we have to say, what's not making me get the Wi-Fi connection? I don't know. The cable's broken. The cable's it's outdated. Something's happening. Something's happening. So you got to get that Wi-Fi connection. You need a spiritual Wi-Fi connection, and then you can connect. Then you get answers on what you do. I can tell you right now, all of my answers in my life came down from prayer to God. Nothing else. Hints on what to do in my life. Very simple. And that's why. If otherwise, what happens? The people shatu haram. Shatu means stupidity. The people strolled around. Opening on Shabbat, fighting against. You have to understand, Shabbat represents blessing. That means the whole week is based upon Shabbat. So what happens? Shabbat is meant to be perfect. Why are we not allowed to do anything on Shabbat? Because the blessing comes on Shabbat. So what happens? Whenever we do, you're going against your own blessing. You're going against yourself. When a person works on Shabbat, he's going against himself. You understand? He's going against himself. If Shabbat's telling you the whole blessing is on Shabbat, don't go against yourself. Take the blessing. That's why people are supposed to honor Shabbat. And blessing comes on a person on Shabbat. People who work on Shabbat, God forbid, oh, look how much money I made. The roof needs $5,000. It's like you might as well relax. It's like people are fooling themselves. That's what happens. Otherwise, you shut to ham, and what happens after? You get irritable, you get angry. And when you get angry, you lose your soul. Reb Nachman says, the Gemara says, when a person gets angry, he doesn't lose his money only, he loses his soul. And that's why you see such a problem nowadays. So again, anxiety, and not only that, you're going to lose your health. So the key to money is really what we said, the major thing is extending the day. We spoke about a person extending his day versus shortening his days. We spoke about it in the Masterpiece class. How important it is for a person to have his day extended. That means my days are long instead of being short. If you can't control your emotions, if you can't control what state you're in, if you can't control your gratitude, what happens? Your days are going to be very short. Oh, I had a rough day. What a rough day. I had another rough day. You had a rough week, you had a rough year. There's a result. What do we have to do? Reb Nachman says, the key to wealth is extending the day. If you wake up a half an hour early to pray, if you wake up an hour, if you wake up half an hour with gratitude, what are you doing? You're taking the day that was very narrow, and now you're expanding the day. You're extending the day. You're contemplating. That's giving you the dot, that's giving you the consciousness, so you're able to make the right decisions. We know one phone call or not can either make us rich or poor. One phone call. You meet one guy, one phone call it only takes. Everything's at the end of the day. God controls absolutely everything. So why are we going against it? So he says, Reb Nachman adds that the best attitude a person can adapt. What's the best attitude he's telling us for him to attain length of days? Length of days leads to wealth. That's what he's saying here. Is that one sees each day as a new beginning. He must forget about the past, both successes and failures, and draw vitality from each day. That's the recipe for success. The ability to renew yourself every single day and make your days very heavy. What's the breath? When a person he has a breath, he can breathe. Oh, I'm relaxed today. Thank God this one will. I have gratitude. When a person is short of breath, he's angry, he's got no breath. He's running out of breath. He's stressed out. What happens when you get angry? You can't breathe. What do they tell a guy who's angry? What do they tell him? Breathe. There you go. You should have taken the breath before. If you would have taken the breath before, you wouldn't have taken the breath when you're angry, when you're choking. Angry loses money, extending the day expands our money. So you have to ask yourself, when you've had success in some areas of life, and when you've had loss, it's because you were in a peak emotional state. When you've lost, it's because you were completely focused on the stick instead of fixing the source of the stick. So these are the very important lessons. Lesson 76. What Nachman says, very simple. He says very simple. This isn't very beautiful. He says, this is the benefit of trust. The only way you could actually bring an object closer to you, there's no other way of bringing an object closer to you but through trust. Because money is always coming in through a specific time, but it doesn't come unless you give it a vessel. It means it needs a vessel. It needs parameters for the money to come to a person. The only way that it can come to the person is through trust, because bounty is constantly descending, but it's coming that maybe something you need a year ago, you need it now. The only way we can draw this bounty is by what? Looking at it with trust. When a person trusts in God, what does he do? He's building a vessel. The more you focus on trust, the more of a vessel. How do we know this? Is when we say, Poteach et yadecha. We say, Asher Hashem beitecha. Poteach et yadecha. What do we do first? We look up to you with hope. Poteach et yadecha. First you look up. And then you say, Poteach et yadecha. You don't just say, Poteach et yadecha. When you look up, because what do you need? You need the vessel to create that parameter. To create the parameter. So that creates trust. When a person has trust in God, bounty comes to him. It comes to him at the right time. As it says, everyone looks to you with hope. This is specific at its right time. So Rav Nachman says, this is the benefit of a person having vision. The more a person has trust, the more vision he can see. What's the difference between a good quarterback and a quarterback that's not so good? Good quarterback, he's got vision. A quarterback that can't see, 5-10 yards. So what happens? He panics. Okay? We're going to talk about, so we spoke about trust, we spoke about not worrying, we spoke about a lot of things. Now we're going to focus on something that not everybody would like to hear, but unfortunately this is a problem in this generation. What would you say if you were at a Shabbat dinner, right? And all of a sudden you have two loaves of bread in your table, and one guy throws it out. Takes the bread, and he throws it in the garbage. What would you say to that guy? Are you crazy? You know, if you throw away bread, everybody says, if you throw away bread, what happens? You become poor, right? It's like your grandmother's always making the bread, making sure that the bread doesn't go into the God forbid. You can't throw away bread, because it says the person who throws away bread, he will become poor. This is one of the things that changed my life. Unfortunately, I wasn't religious before. I was probably off on probably all 10 of these Torahs. And unfortunately, if a man specifically, he doesn't keep his sexual purity, this is the number one cause of getting all your blessing customs. If you want to retrieve your stuff from customs, why do we talk about the 40-day challenge, about saying Tikkun HaKlali so much? Because the Tikkun HaKlali, what happens is you have a blockage. Money's coming down to you. But the blockage is when a person, God forbid, spills the seed, when he goes up with the wrong types of girls, when he's going in the wrong situation, when he's not married. That's why it says wealth will come to you on account of your wife, not your girlfriend. It doesn't say wealth is not coming to you on account of your girlfriend. Wealth is coming to you upon your wife. Because through the wife, a person gets blessed. That means the more a person honors his wife, the more he's blessed. The more a person goes away from his wife, that's where the blessing loses. You see a guy, wow, what a business he had. He cheated on his wife, lost everything. How many stories do you hear like that? I cheated on my wife, I lost everything. I had this, I lost everything. I can probably name you 1,000 stories like that. So what happens is the Zohar, Yosef HaTzadik. What was Yosef HaTzadik? He was tempted with Potiphar's wife, right? He didn't go for the result. What did he do? He married the double portion. Reuven, what happened with Reuven? He defiled his father's beds. Even though the Gemara says he really didn't sin, he created a sort of, on his level, a sort of a pigam. So what happened? So the guy who keeps the Brit, what happens? He gets not only his portion of wealth, but he gets the guy who lost his portion. That means you get the double portion. So why do I invest so much people? I say, listen, guys, we gotta fix the Brit. I mean, a lot of rabbis don't talk about this, but if you don't fix this problem of a person spilling the seed, he's always going to be, God forbid, in a hurry for wealth. Because what he's doing is a hole in his pocket. When I was 15 years ago, when I read the line, sexual impurity leads to poverty, you don't have to talk to me about 40-day challenge. Right away, I don't want to be poor. Who wants to be poor? Forget getting closer to Hashem. This is what's putting a hole in your pocket. That's why it says, don't throw the crumbs of bread. What does the crumbs of bread mean? The crumbs of your mind. Where do you think the seed comes from? It comes from your mind. It doesn't come from bread. What, a guy's going to throw a little bread, he's going to be poor? No, when you throw away the crumbs of your mind. So what happens when a person throws away his crumbs of his mind? That's what happens. He's not able to gain control of his emotions. People that have a problem with this department don't have a good control of their emotions. They get angry very often because what happens? Your soul is like a lamp, and what happens when you're taking the oil that you need to lamp to contemplate? You know what you do with the oil? You're throwing it out. So what happens? Your heart takes over your mind, and the guy goes crazy. So that's what happens. That's why I tell girls, listen. Whatever you're going to do, whoever you're going to date, whoever you're going to marry, you need to focus on mikvah and you need to focus on the guy's sexual purity. Because if you don't have that, he can have all the money in the world. You're just one option away. A man is as good as his options. Let me tell you, especially if you got a little money, he's only as good as his options. Welcome to life. So I said, this is what you want to invest in. You want to ask him, listen, I want to go to the mikvah. We need to do the 30-day mikvah. Why do we talk about the mikvah so much? Because what is the mikvah? It's a renewal. What are you doing in the mikvah? Every 30 days your marriage is brand new. What happens with marriages? It gets old. It gets old. There's no renewal. So God gave you the mikvah. Why? To protect you. To tell you, listen, this is what's going to happen in the world. I'm going to give you a segulam that every 30 days your wife is going to go to the mikvah and you're going to have a brand new wife. So sexual impurity leads to poverty. So if a person realizes, wow, this is a good way to keep my husband in check. This is the way to bring him wealth because he's going to be satisfied with his wife, not wanting other things, because he has a renewal, then he has blessing. That's why this problem with Yesod. If you look at the pipeline of Shefa, the last one is Yesod. And that's the one that if a person if he doesn't get the Shefa, what happens? It goes to the other side. So this is something, the 40-day challenge, take the Tikkun HaKlali. Rav Nachman came out with the Tikkun HaKlali. He came out with this, why? Because he says this is a general remedy for everybody. So the more a person can fix the blockages, the more it's going to come down that generally. It's not a problem of lack of light, it's a problem of blockages. We have blockages, we created blockages. And that's the tikkun in this generation. So that's one thing, if you're a guy, if you don't fix your brit, that's why the first question I ask people, how's your brit? Okay, this is the formula you have. Come to me in 40 days because we're going to waste nonsense. You can't pinpoint the problem unless you fix the foundation. Very, very important. We know this from Yosef Atzadik. We know this from why? Because if a person, what happens? Something that has potential to become a human being, and if it doesn't become a human being, it goes on the floor, it goes on something else. What happens? It comes back as a klipa. It comes back as something negative, and then it creates obstacle for the person. So what happens? He goes through life, it becomes obstacles. The word tal is the gematria of 39, right? Tal means blessing. Words come down. What happens? If the guy doesn't use the word tal, it goes backwards. It goes to lat. It becomes a curse. Either you get the tal, which is the blessing, or the lat. That means either you get the 39 lights of blessing, or the 39 curses that Adam the snake got. So that's up to us to realize that this is not something. Now, you're going to tell me it's impossible to do it? Listen, everything's difficult. That's why we have a 40-day challenge. That's why we have support groups. But if we don't fix this one issue, it's going to be very hard to gather your emotions. It's going to be very hard for everything else. So I've seen miracles from this. We've had hundreds of people do it, and they've seen miracles. They've seen their lives change. Because again, that's what helped me change. Until I fixed this, once I was able to fix the bridge, what happened? Everything else all of a sudden came through. So that's something we definitely want to invest in. your parnasa will be better. All of a sudden you have better parnasa, then you're going to get married. And that's what happens. People are not, the money's not good, they're going out with the wrong type of girl, and then they expect a miracle to happen. A person frustrated in life, it's very simple. Why is a person frustrated in life? Because he's doing the same damn thing every single day and expecting a different result. This is, I speak to people all day long. You're doing the same thing every day and you want a different result. Show me how that's going to happen. Show me. Like, how is that going to change for you? We have to scream about this. So Rav Nachman gave these 10 Psalms so a person could read them, and through this it can unclog all the damages in the pipeline, so now it's able to receive Shefa the right way. That's why when a person is blessed on account of his wife, you understand? The money comes from the wife, not from the girlfriend. If you're looking for money from the girlfriend, lose money. Wife, make money. You understand? Go in the right direction. And that's really the key that we have to do. So again, we have the 40-day challenge. I recommend everybody, because we're trying to fix a broken window when we have no foundation. You understand? Again, you would love me to tell you something else. Have more Muna, have this. But if you don't fix this one, if we don't fix the foundation, I can tell you, you know what? You should get this new window. It's great. But there's a foundation problem. Let's fix the foundation. The number one thing you want a blessing in a marriage, and you see a lot of times girls don't want to marry a specific guy because they don't have enough money, or they don't have enough this. What happens is unless they keep the brit, God forbid they'll lose it. Now, you're going to tell me that's not true, because how could that be true? There's plenty of money, people that don't keep the brit have money. So wealth, kids, and life come from, the Gemara says it comes from a very, very high place. It comes based on your mazal. Okay? Now, if a person's quality of his life is based on his yirat shamayim, his fear of God, that means you can have a lot of money. I know people who have tons of money and they don't even speak to their wives. I know people who have tons of money that all 3 sons are drug addiction, and all day long they're slaves to the money. So it's not about the money, it's the quality of life. How good is your life? And I know people that are content with money, with regular money. Because the word motzi zela batala means spill in the sea, means what? Mazal. You want to change your mazal? Stop spilling the sea. It's very hard for me not to talk about this, because otherwise I want results. The whole point of these classes, why they're reaching what they're reaching, is because I'm getting results from people. Because they've done, when you do something you never did before, you're going to get something you never had before. Bottom line. But if a person's doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different thing, it's not going to happen. We'll talk about a couple more things. There is a great story with the Baal Shem Tov. Now, we spoke about the bird enough, I think. There's a great story with Baal Shem Tov, how the power of speech. So Baal Shem Tov went to this guy, and every year he blessed him. Rabbi, please bless my horse, that it should be able to provide for me every year, and it should be well every year. So what happens every year, the Baal Shem Tov would bless his horse. And all of a sudden, what happened? The horse died. The horse died. So all of a sudden, the guy became wealthy. He became very rich. So the guy comes up to the Baal Shem Tov, he says, Rabbi, why didn't you tell me that if I stopped praying for the horse? He says, listen, all you did was pray for the horse. If you would pray for something else, you would have gotten it. So we have to think big. If you're only praying to pay your light bill, that's what you're probably going to get. A person has to pray for a different vessel. And he also shouldn't get stuck in a business thinking, you know what, that's the only way Hashem can provide for me in this particular box. Don't think like that. You shouldn't think like that. Hashem tomorrow you can do something completely different. But when you're stuck, when you marry a specific business, Hashem can provide for you in 10 businesses. Don't marry, sometimes people get married to the business. Like this guy got married to the horse. So all he asked the Baal Shem Tov was bless the horse. And when he stopped blessing the horse, the Baal Shem Tov says, look what you could have had. That's another way. It's another example I want to give you guys, which is a great example. There was a story about Elisha and a widow who lost her oil. Right? She had all these debts, her husband died, and she had to come up with oil. So Elisha told her, don't worry, fill up your cups, just get jugs of oil, and I will provide, I'll create a miracle, but do the miracle hidden. He told her, hide, don't do it in public. That means things that are hidden from the eye are blessed. Another thing he says, the oil started coming, And it stopped when she says, listen, there's no more jugs. So you have to, the minute the person said, listen, there's no more vessels, you have to be careful with what you say. Because when you say there's no more business, oh really? Tomorrow you were going to get business. When you say there's no more business, you said it. Person says, abracadabra. As you say, I shall do. Very important to watch, especially when you have those days that you feel like the world is climbing to you. What am I in this business for? I can't stand this retail business. I can't stand this business. When you say that, what happens? You're opening your mouth to, God forbid, dinim. Business is dead. You hear that a lot of times? America's dead. Obama dead. The president calls us Hashem. Well, how about Hashem? Did you ever think of Hashem? I'm leaving to Canada because of this president. You hear stupidity. I'm leaving to Canada. I'm finished. I'm going to Paris. Maybe that's going to be better for you. I'm leaving to this country because of this president. What kind of mind frame are people? What kind of mind frame? You understand the mind frame of people when they say, this president comes, I'm done. There's no more money. He's giving you the money, the president? Or Hashem is giving you the money? You understand the mind frame? We have to be careful with the speech. Watch your speech. People come, I have no mazal. You know what happens when you say you have no mazal? Hashem will show you evidence that you have no mazal. You have to be careful what you say. It's serious. What you say is serious. Because what happens when you say it comes from your beliefs. Right? Whatever you say, first it starts as the belief. Where do your thoughts come from? Your beliefs. If I have a belief, if I have a blockage on money, I think it's very difficult to make money. That's my belief. So what am I going to think about? Oh my God, it's very difficult to make money. Right? And then what am I going to say? It's difficult to make money. And then what am I going to do? Do things that are showing evidence that it's difficult to make money. Instead of maybe putting energy in the business, you're going to cramp and try to save. And then that becomes your habits. So this is, again, money is a test. Money is a test. Unfortunately, there's times to expand, and what happens when the expansions, when a person is going through a rough time in his business, he shouldn't expand more, because then he closes. He should take that as an opportunity to expand. The Gemara says, when a person blesses Hashem for his constriction, he gets double the money. He gets double. Take the constrictions in your life, take the opportunities, take the obstacles, and those are the new creations. That's why your faith has to be at what? At night. Faith is not in the day. I can see it in the day. Faith is at night. Whatever effort a person puts in the day, that's what he's going to get in the night. That's what he's going to, whatever effort a person puts in the night, that's what's going to come to him the next day. So there's times where I told you very simple. Parnasa is a test. It's a test. And specifically where Nachman says he should know that before a person is going to get granted for money, he's going to get tested with anger. Don't get knocked out on a tortilla. Don't get knocked out on stupidity. Your wife will come to you, I can't take this sewing machine. Or I can't take this thing. Something so crazy. And all of a sudden you went down for a tortilla. You went down for the stupidest things in the world. If you think about it. So now we know. Why this has to happen? Because every time there's a blessing coming to a person, there has to be interference. It has to be, the other side has to test you. So now I know. Shut your mouth. Life is a test. Just go through the test and pass the test. Stop asking, why is your test? How come this is a test? How long is the test going to be? Just take the test. Take the test and win and get a good grade. That's today's class.